Hey guys, Mike here. So big week coming up ahead and everything. We're gonna get into all the earnings because there's gonna be some big earnings, more big economic data coming out, but also something we gotta keep a close eye on, and we're gonna talk about that right out of the gates. Also, I told you I'd keep you updated on what we're doing with margin, what short sellers are doing right now. I don't think it'll surprise you, but it just might because I think it's caught some people off guard. Also, the seasonality of the S&P 500. I'm going to show you another chart to kind of show you what I'm talking about. We'll see if this follows through. And then the big question is, I'll show you some charts. Like, is the AI hype, is it just taking a break? Is it just cooling off? Or is big money kind of said, maybe we got too far ahead of ourselves. Let's take slow things down a little bit and just kind of wait on earnings to take place before we get back on that hype train, or what? So, or is it just something else that's happening, which I'll show you, which could be causing it. Could be causing it. We'll have to see. But, this right here is going to take center stage coming up in the next few weeks. And I told you about multiple expansion, right? And this shows right here, obviously, the one at the top is mega cap, which is only 8 stocks, right? Forward P of 31. The S&P 500 X mega cap is 16.5. Not bad, right? And, of course, the S&P 500 with the mega caps are 19. And this is really because of multiple expansion why you finally saw the Buffett indicator actually flip and say it's overvalued. I showed you this a few weeks ago and stuff, but this is an update, obviously. And when we got this right here, you can see on the chart what I'm looking at more than anything else right here is to get to that 2 standard deviations, right? Because when we get 2 standard deviations, normally you get a big pullback, right? But again, it could take a while to get here. The only time we actually got above it was obviously the 2020 craze with EV mania, SPAC mania, everything else. But everything else, usually once you get two standard deviations above the norm or the historic trend line, you get you a nice pullback and stuff. So it's something to keep in mind. You can see where we started that move up, how fast we've already moved up from below 1 standard deviation to 1.5 standard deviations. So at this pace, it won't take too long to get to 2 standard deviations. And so just keep that in mind. That's really the only reason I watched this for, because you can see we hadn't been to the norm trend line since 2012. So been a while there, okay? And of course, one reason we're doing this for multiple expansion, stocks are moving up. Margin, baby, taking on that risk. There's May, big pop in May when it comes to billions and billions of dollars moving in here. And so it shouldn't be a big surprise. You can see on percentage side, we still got a long way to go. A little blip in May right there. But you can see, this is what I said, year and a half ago, and I kept showing this chart. You do not have rallies off bottoms or anything else, whatever you want to call this, without margin being taken out, okay? And so same way as us spending credit cards in the real world, margin is what runs the stock market and everything else. So that leads me into shorts, right? What are the bears doing? They are unwinding their shorts at a pace not seen in almost 3 years, and they did it in June of 2020, all right? And so that also has helped the stock market move up. And guys, before we continue, if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. But of course, what else to do is they have unwound now, right? And you may not have as many shorts out there. All of a sudden, the stock market kind of stalls out some, right? You go, oh, okay, because remember, you got to wait till you get through all your short squeezes, start converting bears into bulls and all this stuff to really figure out, where the market's heading and stuff. And, if you watch yesterday's video, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, I'll link it to the end. But the other thing to look out for is seasonality, right? And again, doesn't mean this is going to happen, but it's been somewhat spot on here. But you can see, especially when you're talking about election years and stuff, usually in the second half of July, beginning of August, you'll get a dip down, okay? Now, the other question was, hey, is the AI stuff is it just taking a break? Is it because of rotation, which we'll look at? What is it, right? And so you can see, obviously, Microsoft had this huge move up, following this trend line, just bouncing off of it multiple times, just consolidating here, right? That's what it's been doing for quite a while now, just kind of consolidating in that area after setting that new high at 349.20. While, of course, you look down at the bottom on the hourly and you see what? You see the RSIs making lower highs, while Microsoft's making pretty much higher highs, almost trading sideways. So it might be trying to tell us something, what to find out. But you look at another one, right? Google, right? Had that big move up, got in that 0.68, the old golden pocket right there, hadn't been able to reach it since, and just kind of petering on down right here into that volume gap right there. And so, of course, the big move up was AI. That's exactly what it was. It was nothing else pushing Google up. But when AI hype started, boom, here we go. moving up. And of course, at the same time, what I'll kind of push it down was, Bing and Chat GPT, which we found out now the downloads are like down 38% last month. And that's what I'm trying to figure out with this AI hype, which of course Chat GPT kind of kicked that whole thing off. And all of a sudden you're seeing the downloads drop 38% in 1 month. Well, that could be a problem, right? So we just have to monitor it and find out. AMD is another one, right? That big hype from 80 to 135 was all about AI. Cool down. Again, this is one of the most constructive charts you'll find out there because, again, you got the trend line, the 50 moving average, plenty of options sitting right there at 110, right, to be filled. And so it's got plenty of support where it's at, and it's already sold off 20% in a very short amount of time. So it's definitely one of the ones I'll be keeping my eye on. And, of course, NVIDIA, the biggest hype monster of them all, right? So it's got the picks and shovels. Huge forecast coming up for its earnings. If it hits it, boom, it's golden, right? If it don't, well, we know what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see that. But you can see it's kind of just been stuck in this range. We just add these lines right here. Once it hit that all-time high, sold back off, got a nice bounce. So big money's just kind of holding it up right here, not letting it fill that little small gap, and it sure ain't letting it go down to fill that big gap. But we just got to see, put down in the comments what you think as far as the AI hype. Is it just taking a break, or are we going to see it pick up? And then, of course, what's another one? Meta. It ain't so much to me. Meta is not so much AI hype anyways. It was already moving before the AI hype, even though, of course, they jumped on the train and started saying it on their earnings call. But it's just, basically in this rising wedge right here, having a little trouble getting around that 299 area. It has bounced off this trend line multiple times, and now it hit it Friday. So the question is, do we get the bounce back up, or maybe drop down and fill the graveyard of gaps up finally? We'll have to see. This is a big name that big money has been piling and piling in, okay? But you're seeing a lot of these heavyweighted stocks, right? They're feeling heavy. They're well stretched above their moving averages and everything else. So, we just have to see what happens on that one. You can see right here I'm talking about. I mean, Meta hadn't hit its 50-day moving average this entire year, and that's never happened. So, first time since it's been public, I believe in 2012, that's happened. So have to see on that one. And then, of course, the big question is it just rotation? Is that what's happening? Because what do you see really moving up well is transportation stocks, right? So that's not AI. And so, a lot of money moving over into transportation, moving over into industrial and things like that over the last, 90 days and stuff. And, of course, you keep getting more narrow, like 30 days in, you see more and more of it. And a lot of this, don't forget, in the transportation is these airline stocks, right? That makes up quite a few of the top 10, as you can see. And if you scroll down, there's a lot more airlines in here than that. So just keep that in mind. It could be just that going on, but watch transportation, watch industrials for more of this rotation and stuff, and see if financials start to get more rotation too, just FYI. And then one stock has nothing to do with AI. Watch PayPal here, because it did finally, after getting a nice recovery at 59, fall out of this channel that it was in, and it's got multiple bounces. And then when we look at another simple way here, you can see right here in this wedge, it's going to make a move one way or the other coming up this week. Like, this will be it, because the end of that wedge is like Friday. And so it's either going to move up into that volume gap right there and fill that gap, or we got a volume gap right below that goes down to about 64-ish. And we'll have to see. This one's kind of all over the place. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Now, earnings. Here we go. I don't care about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we'll get to hear Delta CEO, which I showed you a video of last week, brag about charging us way too much money for tickets, okay? And they'll probably do really good. Moved up a lot in the stock, right? So we'll see if it's a sell the news event or not. PepsiCo, obviously. Cintas, the uniform company, they usually, because if their business is down, it means something's going on in the industries they serve, okay? But Friday's the big one. This is where all the big banks come out, JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, BlackRock. All of them are coming out Friday, and that'll be huge because they're going to talk a lot about us, the consumer, our savings, what they see on IPOs, things of that nature. And so what the health of the, financial sector actually is. Maybe they'll even touch on the regional banks. We'll have to see. Now, economic data, I'm doing just the ones that are most important. Monday, Tuesday, nothing should affect the markets. Wednesday, big time, core inflation rate month over month. They're expecting a small decrease. Core inflation rate year over year, they're expecting a decrease from 5.3 to 5. The overall inflation rate month over month, they actually expect an increase. You see the prior is 0.1, they're expecting 0.3. And then inflation rate year over year, they're expecting a big drop from 4 all the way to 3.1, okay? And then the next day we'll get PPI month over month, and then Friday, Michigan Consumer Sentiment. I'm going to take a guess and say it's going up. But hey, it's all about the earnings this week, right? I mean, it's really the bank earnings. I mean, nobody's going to care. I mean, Delta's not going to move markets and neither the rest of them. But those bank earnings will definitely set it off, because then the week after that, we're going to have a boatload of more earnings. And so it's going to be, the volatility is going to be off the chain, all right? Especially, I mean, if things finally start to slow down. You know, you've been calling this earning apocalypse forever. Remember, I was calling for it last year, and I said, what if you don't have it? I mean, come on. And we didn't, right? But if you finally start to see consumer spending slow down, maybe, because the one thing that will be different about this earnings is, remember, I don't have my bar out here, but remember I used to drop on the floor, say the bar's on the beneath the floor. Well, the bar is not really beneath the floor on this one. They've been kind of lowering them down, but there are a little bit higher, right? And the biggest thing I'm looking for this earnings season is any kind of AI company. Like, do they hit earnings, and what's the forecast? Like, that's what I really want to know. That's going to kind of tell us what leadway the market's giving these companies, because they are not going to be monetizing this AI stuff for at least 3 to 4 quarters. All right, there's no way. The same thing we did with the internet, everything we've come out, Web3, all that stuff. It takes time to do that. Okay, you got to spend a lot of money on a lot of things and to make this happen. And so I just want to see what their leadway is on that. But I do want to hear from the banks to see, you know, because usually it's JP Morgan, he always talks about how much savings we got and stuff like that. So definitely interesting to see that. Let me know in the comments what you think, what kind of week you think it's going to be, and do you think the banks are going to crush it and give us good news and set us off for the second half of the year, because this is what the springboard is going to be. It's going to be earnings. This is what everybody's been waiting on. So just FYI, if you didn't know it, we've already done the multiple expansion. Now we got to start backing it up with some earnings. Okay, and so I hope you got something out of it, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button if you did. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.